ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਹਾਰਦਿਕ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ, ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀ ਹਲਚਲ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ BC ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ 24 ਅਕਤੂਬਰ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪੈ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਐਡਵਾਂਸ ਪੋਲਿੰਗ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਐਡਵਾਂਸ ਪੋਲਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਈਆਂ ਉਹ 24 ਅਕਤੂਬਰ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪਾਉਣਗੇ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਉਪਰਾਲਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਹਿਮ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾ ਸਕੀਏ। ਅਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੋਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਲਾਇਰ ਨੇ ਪੇਸ਼ੇ ਵਜੋਂ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਿਆਸਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਆ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਸਿਰਫ 134 ਵੋਟਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਇਹ ਹਾਰੇ ਸਨ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਲ ਅਤੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲਵਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ NDP ਨੂੰ, ਉਸ ਦੀ ਕੀ ਪੋਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕਿਉਂ ਵਿਲੱਖਣ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ 24 ਅਕਤੂਬਰ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਅਪੀਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏ। ਸੋ ਆਓ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੋਲ ਐਂਡ ਲੈਟਸ ਕੰਟੀਨਿਊ ਵਿਦ ਦ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ। ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜੀ।
Thank you, Harpreet. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Same here. So let's start off with this pandemic. It's been a different kind of election. You contested in 2017 also, and you saw it was a different kind of election. But this time it has been more virtual. You have not been able to reach out to the people as you did in the previous election. So you just lost by 134 votes, which was hardly anything. So what difference are you finding between that election and this election?
देखो, बड़ा कुछ like a few different things. ਪਹਿਲੀ ਤਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਸੀ, ਇਹ 2017 ਦੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਸੀਗੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਸਾਈਡ ਸੀਗੀ, ਦੇ kept on referring back to the 1990s, ਬਈ NDP ਨੇ ਇਹ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ, NDP ਨੇ ਇਕੋਨਮੀ ਡਿਸਟਰੋਏ ਕਰ ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈ। There was a lot of fear mongering in that last election, if you remember. A lot of fear mongering ਬਈ ਜੇ NDP ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਆ ਗਈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜੌਬਸ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੇ, ਇਕੋਨਮੀ ਦਾ ਸਤਿਆਨਾਸ਼ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ ਆ। ਐਂਡ ਦ ਬਿਗ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਸ ਇਜ਼ ਪਿਛਲੇ 3.5 ਸਾਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਦੈਟਸ ਨਾਟ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਦ ਕੇਸ। ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ BC ਲਿਬਰਲ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲੀ ਸਿਕਿਉਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲੀ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਕੁਆਰਟਰ ਆਫਟਰ ਕੁਆਰਟਰ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਮੂਡੀਜ਼ ਦੀਆਂ ਅਤੇ S&P ਦੀਆਂ ਰੇਟਿੰਗਸ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਆ, AAA+ credit rating rahi hai BC di. It's been one of the best economies in Canada throughout the last 3.5 years, and even through the pandemic, right? Economy vadi hai kafi zyada, and at the same time lokan di jehdi aam affordability hai oh bhi vadi hai. Like people are able to afford life more, right? MSP hata ditti gayi, je Fraser Valley ch rehndे se lokan ਲਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਟੋਲਸ ਹਟਾ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਗਏ। ਸੋ ਇੱਕ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ 2 ਜੀ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਜਾਂ ਬਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਸਰੀ 'ਚ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ $300-400 ਹਰ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦਾ ਬਚ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, just from those tolls. That's $3,000-4,000 a year. So these are the kind of things that have made a big difference, I think. Also ਜਿਹੜਾ response, pandemic ਦਾ response ਹੈ, I mean ਇਹ ਬੜਾ ਅਜੀਬ ਜਿਹਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਲਈ, right? None of us have lived any like in our lifetimes, none of us have lived through anything like this. And ਜਦੋਂ pandemic ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ, the BC government came in, the NDP government came in and had a fabulous response. And they've had a fabulous response and it's a dynamic situation that changes over time. And they've responded to it day by day in an incredible manner. That British Columbia is not only the envy of Canada, but of most of the world in terms of its pandemic response, right?
Right.
Even to this day, when numbers are rising, if you compare it to the rest of the world, we're still in very, very good shape. And that's because we have a responsible government that takes care of healthcare, takes care of services, and listens to the scientists that are in charge, right? They lets them do their work, listens to their recommendations, and follows those recommendations.
Ji, but Amandeep, a lot of people are also criticizing your party because in this pandemic, what was the need for holding an election right now? Because already there was about a year left for this government to continue. So what do you have to say about that?
You know, whether we hold election now or 1 year from now, it was going to be a pandemic election, right? It's a pandemic hai gaya kite ja nahi raha. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਗੋਂ ਹੋਰ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਹੋਣਾ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪੈਂਡੈਮਿਕ ਕਿਤੇ ਜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਹਾ। ਸੈਕੰਡ ਵੇਵ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਆ ਗਈ, ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੀ ਅਗਲੇ ਸਾਲ ਕੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ। ਜਿੰਨੀ ਦੇਰ ਤੱਕ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਦੀ ਅਤੇ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਦੇਰ ਤੱਕ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਡਿਸਟਰੀਬਿਊਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ, ਇਹ ਪੈਂਡੈਮਿਕ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਆ। ਅਤੇ whether you have election now or 1 year from now, ਪੈਂਡੈਮਿਕ ਦੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਣੀ ਸੀਗੀ। ਅਤੇ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਡਿਸਾਈਡ ਕੀਤਾ, ਜੌਨ ਹੌਗਨ BC NDP ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਡਿਸਾਈਡ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ it's been 3.5 years ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਿਛਲੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਸੀਗੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ 6 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀ, right? The Christy Clark called her election 6 months early, so that's nothing. They do it all
There's
the
nothing
time,
unusual
so
you
there's
feel in
nothing
this.
not unusual at all.
Okay.
What is unusual is that we're in a very, very strange time, and we need stability.
Right.
With a minority government, especially in the summer, ਜਿਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਵੀ ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਈ ਬਿਲਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਤਬਦੀਲੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਪਾਸ ਹੋਣ ਦੀ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਲਿਖੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਬਿੱਲ ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਾਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ। ਗ੍ਰੀਨਸ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਮੰਗ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜਾਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਫਰਜ਼ ਕਰੋ ਚਾਈਲਡ ਕੇਅਰ ਦਾ ਬਿੱਲ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਪਾਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ, $10 a day child care, which is why we don't have that right now. So they thought, you need for the next few years, for the next 2-3 years, for a good economic recovery that works for everybody, not just the wealthy people. You need a good, strong, stable government. So why not? This is a much safer time to do it.
Okay.
An
Right.
election is not unsafe. People go out to grocery stores and they shop.
Right.
People go, to do all sorts of things. So there's nothing unsafe about it.
Okay. Little bit about your riding. Tell our viewers as to you represent this riding. How have you been reaching out to the public? What are the major issues that are being brought forward in your riding?
At this time, healthcare. At the time of the pandemic, those sort of things that are related to the pandemic are the biggest issues. Healthcare. How will people stay safe during the pandemic? How will their healthcare services be reliable and be distributed equitably? Seniors care, other services that are related to healthcare, and of course the economic recovery. That's a big thing. Many small businesses are closing down or having a very hard time, including I'm a lawyer with a small business. As you know, courts were closed from all the way from the middle of March to the end of July, and we struggled as well, right? So those are sort of the main issues, is healthcare and economic recovery. How are we going to recover out of this?
Right. And how have you been reaching out to the public, especially because door knocking ਜਿਹੜਾ conventional means ਹੈਗਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਵੀ ਘੱਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਪੈਂਡੇਮਿਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਪੂਰੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੋਲੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ। So what has been your major medium of reaching out to the public?
ਹਾਂਜੀ, so we chose not to door knock ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਫ ਰੱਖਣ ਲਈ, ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੇਫ ਰੱਖਣ ਲਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੋਟਰਸ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਫ ਰੱਖਣ ਲਈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ this is not a time that we should be really communicating like that. ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ communicate ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ we would be sitting in a studio together, but technology is wonderful and it's allowed us these great things that we can communicate with people over. You can be sitting there and I can be here and I can be talking with you. So this is how we've been, and increasingly, most political parties and other people have been engaging through social media, Instagram, Facebook, WeChat, WhatsApp, Zoom video calls. So I've been doing a lot of that.
Right.
And in some ways, I've been able to reach out to more people with telephone calls and video calls. And of course, if someone wants to meet and it's safe, I do go out and meet. I've been doing small little, what they call Burma shaves. Walking the grocery stores, walking the streets and saying hello to people. Just ਆਮ ਲੋਕੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, trying to be in those places. ਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ greet ਕਰਨਾ, ਜੇ ਕੋਈ questions ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇਣੇ, those sort of things.
Amandeep ji, as a lawyer, you have held many, you have fought a lot of cases ਜਿਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕਈ important issues ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ tackle ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੈਲਥ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਛੇੜਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਜੇਕਰ ਬੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਹੈਂਡਲ ਕਰੋਗੇ। ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਰੂਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਡਿਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟ ਜਾ ਕੇ 6-6 ਘੰਟੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ। ਡਾਕਟਰਸ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ ਲੰਮੀਆਂ ਕਤਾਰਾਂ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਹਾਊ ਡਜ਼ ਯੋਰ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਇਫ ਇਟ ਗੈਟਸ ਫਾਰਮਡ ਅਗੇਨ ਪਲਾਨ ਟੂ ਟੈਕਲ ਦਿਸ ਇਸ਼ੂ?
ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ 16 ਸਾਲ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੇਅਰ ਤੋਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਕੱਢੀ ਗਏ, ਰਾਈਟ? ਦੇ ਟੁੱਕ ਆਊਟ ਮਨੀ। ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਮੀਰ ਲੋਕ ਸੀਗੇ, ਵੈਲ ਕਨੈਕਟਡ ਲੋਕੀ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਟੈਕਸ ਬ੍ਰੇਕਸ ਦੇ ਗਏ, ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ, ਹੈਲਥ ਕੇਅਰ ਵਰਗੀਆਂ, ਸੀਨੀਅਰਸ ਕੇਅਰ ਵਰਗੀਆਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਕੱਢੀ ਗਏ। What we've done in the last 3 years is we've reinvested into healthcare. We've reinvested into building more hospitals, right? As part of our infrastructure. Before the pandemic, that was also part of our infrastructure plan. As you know, the Surrey Hospital, which for some reason they seem to think that there's a controversy over, but there's no controversy because it's in the plans, it's in the planning stages, it's going to be built. Richmond Hospital, again, it's the business plan is almost done. The shovels will be in the ground by next year. So that's how we're doing it. We're building more hospitals. We also announced a new medical school, right, in Surrey at the SFU campus. That's the way to do it. We're going to train more doctors, train more nurses, and get more get more help in that way. We've also announced, we've been announcing since in the last 3.5 years, more and more of these urgent primary care centers, right? ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਲੈਵਲ ਘੱਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਲੈਵਲ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਦੇ ਦਫ਼ਤਰ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਲੈਵਲ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਰੂਮਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਇੰਨੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਐਮਰਜੈਂਸੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਈਆਰ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਦੀ ਈਆਰ ਜਾਣਾ ਪਵੇ ਸੋ ਥੀਸ ਅਰਜੈਂਟ ਪ੍ਰਾਇਮਰੀ ਕੇਅਰ ਸੈਂਟਰਸ are a great intermediate step. They've been announced all over. पिछले हफ्ते or actually as हफ्ते Indian Tech आए थे Richmond ਵਿੱਚ तो उन्होंने एक नवा urgent primary care center announced किया that'll be built by March and operational by March 2021 in Richmond, a little bit away from the hospital, so people can attend it. Open 7 days a week and open late. That's how we're trying to solve these issues.
How diverse is your riding?
It's incredibly diverse. It's like all of many places in Canada. We have a lot of South Asians, people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. We have a lot of people from the Philippines. There's obviously people from all over the world. A lot of people from Hong Kong, China, mainland China, Taiwan. We have a big Somali community as well. We have people from other parts of Africa. It's a really, really diverse. Richmond, Queensborough is a very diverse riding. Really, really proud of that.
ਸੋ ਅਮਨ ਇੱਕ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਟੱਚ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਲਥ ਦਾ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਜੋ ਪੈਂਡੇਮਿਕ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਿਜ਼ਨੈਸਿਸ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਸਮਾਲ ਸਕੇਲ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਜੋਰਿਟੀ ਆਫ them ਆਰ ਦ brink of closure ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਵੇਵ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗੇ ਅਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਅੱਗੇ ਕੀ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਇਕਨੋਮਿਕ ਰਿਕਵਰੀ ਦੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੱਲ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਐਨਡੀਪੀ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਦਿਵਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਸਮਾਲ ਬਿਜ਼ਨੈਸਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਯੂ ਵਿਲ ਬੀ ਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਵਿਦ them and getting them out of this world?
Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. My father was a small businessman. He owned a travel agency in Hong Kong and a cargo agency, employed a few people. I'm a small businessman. I've been a small businessman most of my life. I have a small law firm. And like everybody else, we've been suffering as well. What the NDP has done and is promising to do is there's a lot of things on the table. Including things like we've reduced property taxes for landlords by 25%, saving your landlord a lot of money. So if you're renting, and you're renting your office location and you're on a triple net lease, you should be getting a reduction on that, right? So those things have to be passed on. There's grants if you're a part of the tourist, if you've been hard hit by the pandemic because you're part of the tourist sector. Mm-hmm. There's a $10,000 grant for the tourist sector. There's $300 million recovery fund for small businesses, and over the next few years, the NDP government, in addition to what's already in the budget, is planning on spending $3 billion a year to build more infrastructure, to build more roads, more schools, more hospitals, and those things we hope will spur the economic recovery that also helps small businesses.
जी ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਛਲੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਇਹ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਇਹ ਫਰਕ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਐਨਡੀਪੀ ਇਕਨੋਮਿਕ ਰਿਕਵਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀ ਇਹ ਸਟੇਟ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਓਸ 'ਚ ਲੈ ਜਾਏਗੀ ਪਰ 3 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਾਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰੀ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਅਜੇ ਵੀ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਫੇਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਐਨਡੀਪੀ ਇਜ਼ ਪ੍ਰੋ ਵਰਕਰਸ ਓਨਲੀ ਉਹ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਨਜ਼ਰਅੰਦਾਜ਼ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ what would you say to those people who believe in this kind of theory?
So again, what we believe in is we believe in equity and fairness for everybody. Workers all the way to small businesses as well. That if you're going to have an economic recovery, it can't just be for the people at the top. It has to work for everyone, and that's why we have a very, very fair business atmosphere in British Columbia. We have the second lowest business tax rate, small business tax rate in Canada. We've got a booming economy. Right, and our tourism economy, most of our economy is based on small businesses, and the last 3.5 years have shown that we've encouraged all of these economies. We've encouraged this, and it's the products are there. We have the lowest unemployment rate. Right, we added thousands even in the pandemic. We added thousands new jobs in September, as you know from the job statistics. So. people may think one thing and something may be said, but you have to look at the reality of the situation. Reality of the situation is we have had more than AAA ratings by all the economic indicators and factors
Right.
for the last 3.5 years. Our economy has done better than most of Canada for the last 3.5 years.
ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਡਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਉਹ ਹੈ ਓਪੀਓਇਡ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਸਿਸ ਕਿ 172 ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਜਿਹੜੇ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਲੋਕ ਮਰ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਇੰਨੀ ਡੈਥਸ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਇਹ ਕੋਵਿਡ ਤੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਓਪੀਓਇਡ ਤੋਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਗੈਟ ਇਲੈਕਟਡ ਹਾਊ ਵਿਲ ਯੂ ਟੈਕਲ ਦਿਸ ਇਸ਼ੂ
This issue has been ongoing for a long time, and it's very sad. Like, no one should have to die because of this, right? And unfortunately, it's not deaths because of COVID, but it is related to the pandemic. Because of social isolation, people are using in an unsafe manner, and they're alone, right? If they were with other people that could, assist them, maybe there wouldn't be as many deaths. And that's one of the big tragedies of the pandemic is that social isolation and the mental health toll that it takes makes things worse. The 16 years previously, the BC Liberals did nothing about mental health. They all but ignored it. In fact, they fueled a lot of the crisis by allowing things like money laundering and speculation and things to get really, really bad for regular people, for everyday people. What we did when the NDP government came in is they and I'm really proud of this, is they have a minister of mental health and addictions who all their job is to look at this and try and solve this. It's a very dynamic situation with the pandemic right now, and it's a very, very it's a real problem. But I'm confident, that the NDP government has been doing the right things. They've doubled the amount of treatment beds. They've put more money into mental health and addictions recovery, and that is the way to go forward. Is you have to treat mental health, and you have to have the resources and the help and the aid out there to be able to help. And as you know, I'm a recovered alcoholic. I'm 10 years sober, so that's my community. I know a lot. I sponsor people. I do service work in that community, and I know what it takes, what a heavy toll it can take, and it's a long-term project. And again, like there's been too many deaths, but we have to keep on working and moving forward. The pandemic is a real. None of us have lived through anything like this in our lifetimes.
Absolutely.
And it changes every day. And I'm pretty proud that the NDP government has been very dynamic and been able to adapt to all of the changes and come to some, try and come to some solutions.
Ji. Finally, Mr. Amandeep Singh, why should the people vote for you on October 24th?
Ever since I was growing up in Hong Kong as a teenager, I've been a community activist. I've been advocating for people. When we moved from Hong Kong to Richmond, I continued with that advocacy. I became a lawyer because I wanted to advocate for people, and I'm a community-based lawyer. I'm a people-centric lawyer. I work on civil rights, human rights cases, on defense cases. So all my life, I've been advocating for people, and that's what I want to do as an MLA. And it's sort of a calling for me. छोटे होंदे तो मेरे माता पिता ने मैंने यही सिखाया था कि you have to take care of those who are the most vulnerable. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋੜਵੰਦ ਲੋਕੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਦੇਖਭਾਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਹੈ. And it's also part of our spiritual practice as well, right? ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹੀ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ you have to give that hand to the other person.
Right.
And that's what I've been doing all my life.
Okay. And finally, how do you assure the public that you will not be like any other politician who before the election promises a lot, but later on it becomes difficult even to contact those politicians from the countries from where we come in? This is the major issue, but here also, this is a rising trend. So towards the end, how do you assure the public that you will be available and committed to what you have said?
I've been available all my life. You call me, I'm always there. I'll always call you back, and that won't change, right?
Right.
I'm a people's lawyer, and I'll remain a people's politician as well.
Right.
If I do get elected.
Amandeep ji, congratulations and best wishes, and we hope on October 24th,
Thank you, Harpreet.
people come out in large numbers and exercise their right to franchise. This is a democratic right, and they should
Yes.
go forward. Congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you, brother.